K told, go right along. We're supposed to be the resistance crew for God in these last days. We're the salt and light of this world, the resistance crew. Not to go along to get along. It's what formed this nation. The nation was formed on rebellion to King George. And his enslavement of the colony. That's how we got this nation. Take your T-tax and shut. That's what made this nation sovereign and made it a major target. No wrong. And we've been a major target wrong ever since. That's where the warfare is with. And this is this eagle here that we're reading about right now. For their heads were at rest. The head of the middle was greater than the other, yet rested it with the residue. Moreover I beheld, and lo, the eagle flew with her feathers, and reigned upon the earth over them that dwelt on therein. And I saw all things under heaven were subject unto her, and no man spake against her, no, not one creature upon earth. That's pretty deep. They were afraid to even criticize her. They're afraid of this Jesuit order. They're afraid to criticize the Pope over and all. I'm talking about men and women of power around the world. They're afraid to drag out into the light who's really this satanic cult that's really running the world. They want to wipe out 95% of the world, depopulate 95%, depopulation. That's what we're up against right now. That's what's going on right in front of your very eyes right now. Is their Agenda 21, 30, 50 plan being unfolded right now? The UN Agenda 21, 30. They see us. There's 7.5 billion roaches that need to be exterminated, and them a giant can of raid to do it. They want to wipe out 95% of these useless eater roaches, quote unquote. That's what's going on right now. And no one's speaking up against it. People are afraid. They're afraid to speak up against this 3-headed red 12-winged eagle. It's fooling the world wrong. Especially these 501c3 FEMA pastors. 501c3 FEMA pastors. They dangerous because they're tied to the system. They went through their, they went through their Jesuit cemetery schools and got their Jesuit cemetery license. They can have their license yank. They can have their non-profit status yank. They're raking in millions and billions of dollars. These stadium fillers, these Smiley Saws, New Age babies, Rufus Blair Tees. They're not about to turn on Rome. They are with Rome. They're part of the false prophet system. They're not going to speak up against it. They're going to slit their own throat. They live in an opulent, posh lifestyle. They're not going to give that up. And it goes for politicians and everybody else that's eating at Jezebel's table. And that was one of the videos I did, I believe, tying the Jezebel table to Jesuit order. Look it up. I try to get all these up on the social media. That's what you're dealing with. These secret order societies that worship Satan. You got the whole world bribed and blackmailed in the silence, or threat of death silence. And I saw all things under heaven. Let's read that verse again, verse 6. And this is Apocrypha, Ezra 11:6. And I saw that all things under heaven were subject unto her, and no man spake against her, no, not one creature upon earth. Very interesting that he homed in and focused on no criticism of this 3-headed red 12-winged eagle ruling the world. People were afraid. And I beheld, and lo, the eagle rose up on his talons, and spake to her feathers, saying, now this is a part of the body. The feathers are part of the body. The wings are part of the body. Watch not all at once. Sleep everyone on his own place, and watch by course, in a certain order. Some sleep, some awake, but it's around the clock operation. But let the heads be preserved for the last. That's important. Let the ones running it be preserved for the last days. Watch not all at once. Sleep everyone in his own place, and watch by course. But let the heads be preserved for the last. And I beheld, and lo, the voice went not out of her heads, but from the midst of her body. A secret order is what this symbolizes. The Jesuit order that's running, that's really in charge, not the heads, not the ones you see visible. But the voice came from the midst of the body. Satan and his hidden ones that's really ruling wrong. That you don't see. Not the heads that you see. And I beheld, and lo, the voice went not out of her heads, but from the midst of her body. And I numbered her contrary feathers, and beheld, there were 8 of them. And I looked, and behold, on the right side there arose one feather, and reigned over all the earth. Now that matches Daniel's indescript beast, the little horn that came up from the 10-horned beast. The Revelation's the same thing. A little notable horn, this is a little notable feather. So this Antichrist is going to come up from this confederacy of nations. Feathers, wings, a leader that comes up out of this body. It's out of the body of this eagle. But it's a feather, not the head. Interesting. And so it was. When it reigned, the end of it came. This Antichrist is the end of this beastly kingdom, this 3-headed eagle kingdom. It's the same thing. Indescript is Daniel's indescript beast, mixed with a leopard and a lion, had the mouth of a lion, speaking great things. It had wings too. Daniel's indescript beast had wings. Eagle's wings. It covered the whole earth. It was swift. Symbol of his power. And the paws of a bear. So it was a mix of all these old kingdoms. You had 7 kingdoms, so this is going to be a combination as well as the old geographical kingdoms that ruled this earth. And you had 7. Well, you had 6. And by the time you get done, you're going to have a total of 8. It's going to be, the kingdom started with the ancient Egypt. You had Egypt, Assyria. After Assyria, you had Babylon. After Babylon, you had the Gregorian Empire, or excuse me, the Persian Empire. No, the Gregorian. You had the Gregorian Empire, Greek, Alexander the Great. Then you had the Medo-Persian Empire. Then you had the Greek,
That's a Gregorian. Okay, let me start. You had Egypt, Assyria. After Syria, you had Babylon. And after Babylon, you had the Medo-Persian Empire. After Medo-Persia, you had Alexander the Great's Gregorian Empire, the Greek Empire. And after the Greek Empire, you had the Roman Empire. And it's been Rome ever since. Like I said, Julius Caesar conquered the world in 32 BC. And it's been conquered by Rome ever since. And just morphing into different conquerors, but all bowed to Rome. The Roman kingdom was actually split in Constantine's time. 33, around 33 AD, you had the Eastern and Western. You had the Byzantine power of Rome. You had the Western ancient empire of Rome. It was split into two kingdoms. Under Constantine formed in 33 AD. He formed the papal Roman Empire. It's where we've still been under Rome, just under the religious. He took and said he had a vision of a cross, a red cross, which is an ancient pagan symbol, been around thousands of years, symbol of Tammuz. They worshipped, he was the evil conqueror that worshipped Mithra. And like I said, all the pagan heathen traditions, he just put a Christian mass over and called it the Catholic Church, which means universal. And made it a religious order of Rome. Just give you a history in 70 lead books of this of world rulership. But all these kingdoms that I just named that ruled the world, Egyptian, Assyrian, Babylonian, Medo-Persian, Gregorian, and Roman, and then you're going to have the revised Roman Empire. You had the Ottoman Empire, which was really, that's totally neglected in history, but it ruled from like the 6th century, 6th or 7th century, pretty sure it's one of them, all the way up until the 1920s. And it covered a huge swath of the earth, including the Middle East, all the way to actually all into Europe, and the steppes of Russia, and Africa, the Ottoman Empire. But it was still, Ottomans were, like I said, spawned by Rome. Rome was still ruled. That's part of the sleeping of those wings that I was talking about, of the feathers. Everybody's still running, just under Hitler in Rome. Like I said, he was a staunch Catholic Jesuit. Hitler. That was Rome. That was the Inquisition of Rome. The Holocaust. All Jesuits running in. Designed Auschwitz, Dachau, all the death camps. It's all wrong. It's all part of that evil system. It's been hidden from the world. But it's still wrong. And if you don't think so, you can go back and look and you'll see. You'll see a lot of prominent, high order, including the pedal pope, praising Adolf Hitler, if you think I'm making this up. And Hitler praising the Catholic Church. It's on record. Praising the Jesuit order. He was trained by it. He should know. They ran Nazi Germany. They run and ran and spawned Muhammad and Ottoman Empire. That's all Jesuit order. That's the secret. They rule this whole earth through their synagogue of Satan. That's the secret. Masonic order. Secret handshake crowd. That's Satan's synagogue. That's ruling this whole world. And their symbols and influences everywhere. And they're against God and Christ. And Christ is coming with his, Satan just the imitator. Christ is coming with the New World Order. It's going to be Christ's New World Order, New Age, Christ. Satan's just a copycat, imitator. He's going to have his false Christ. He's duplicating everything in the Scripture. He's going to have his fake John the Baptist that go before Christ, called the false prophet. The Antichrist is going to be his Christ. And Satan is going to be the God, quote unquote, of this world and part of that demonic, satanic trinity. It's going to rule the world. The beast and the false prophet, the Antichrist and the false prophet are going to be the first ones thrown into God's lake of fire that's empty right now. That's going to be the ultimate destination of all sinners, from the hellfire to the lake of fire. And they're going to be the first ones in there. You read that in Revelations 12, I believe. And Satan going to be thrown in there in Revelations 20:10. But they're going to deceive the whole world in the meantime. And God and Christ is coming, not with sweet "I love you, brother" and homilies. He's coming with a rod of iron. They're going to dash into pieces like clay pots the nation of this world that don't bow down and submit to his rulership. Don't forget, it's going to be all the kings of the earth in Armageddon. It's going to line up against Christ, where he splits the sky and comes from the kingdom of heaven riding his white horse. And it's King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And Basileus Basileon. Adoniana, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And he's going to squash them like grapes in God's wine press. All these kings of the earth, the world's going to be aligned against Christ. They're going to squash them like grapes, and the blood's going to flow 200 square miles, 6 to 8 feet to the bottom of the horses. That's how much blood. It's going to take them 7 years to bury all the dead and for the vultures and the wild beasts to eat all the dead. 7 years. During Christ's millennium. Christ's age. 1,000 years. Christ's going to smash his fist into this earth and teach him who the boss is. He's taking the nation by force. Or he's taking the world by force. It's his. God gave him, that's what that title deed was about in Revelations 4. Being handed to him. He's handed the title deed to this earth, paid for in his blood, to redeem his earth. But that's also from those that don't want to be under Christ's rulership, just going to be killed. That's the way it is. And we'll be right behind Christ. I know I will. As he treads the winepress of the wrath of the fierceness of God Almighty. And finally puts down this beast system. And that's what's going to take to put down this beast system. Satan ain't going to just hand it over. It's going to the very, very bitter end. That's what Armageddon's about, my friend. This is going to the bitter end. This world is aligned against Christ and Christ's order. That's why we need to be friends of this world. This world, whole system. It's set up. The Christian mission is to rescue a few out of the world. That's what Christ said. He said, "I'll pray for the world, pray for my few that's in the world," in John 17. Just pray. I want to pray for a few. There's only a few that's going to get it. A few will be saved. Not, the broad way is for the masses, the hellfire. They ain't really entering into the straight yet. And part of that is a resistance crew. We'll resist Satan. That's what it started out saying. And resist his minions. And this is these minions right here we're reading about. They want to enslave us and want to kill us. But we're in America. Romans 13 applies. It says Christians love to beat you over the head. We the people are the government. So many dumbasses don't take time to read and study the Constitution. What power you really have. You're the citizen. We're sovereign citizens. Sovereign government. Under the Lex Rex, the Constitution of the United States, has kept us free. It's Satan and his three-headed eagle, 12-feathered red eagle, is trying to take from with his talons. trying to snatch away with his talons our constitutional right. Put us under tyranny. This slick medical tyranny trying to usurp the Constitution right now. It was under major attack, assault right now. And these Christians, we better stand up and push back. That's what our job is. We're to resist the Antichrist right up to the end of Christ taking us out of here. That's the role of the church. Salt and light and a resistance crew, pushing back this Antichrist and his revelation. Can't be revealed till the body of Christ is taken out. God ain't pouring his wrath out. You know, a lot of you don't believe in the rapture, and you believe we'll be here, and you will. If that's what you believe, you'll be here. You definitely tough it out with the Antichrist. Some of you can't even tough it out with the little medical tyranny. You're going to have a real problem with the mark of the beast. Not buying and being able to sell. Watching your family starve to death. Or being put in an Antichrist FEMA camp. And being tortured, have your head chopped off. It'd be a lot harder to stand up for Christ than it is in America now. That's why you better push the Antichrist back now. And his agenda.
And I beheld, and lo, the eagle rose up on his talons, and spake to her feathers, saying, Watch not all at once, sleep every one in his own place, watch by course, but let the heads be preserved for the last. And I beheld, and lo, the voice went out not from her head, but from the midst of her body, a secret order. And I numbered her contrary feathers, and behold, there were 8 of them. And I looked, and behold, on the right side there arose one feather, the Antichrist, and reigned over the whole earth. And so it was, that when it reigned, the end of it came, the end of the world came, and the place thereof appeared no more. So the next following stood up and reigned, and had a great time. And it happened that when it reigned, the end of it came also, like as the first, so that it appeared no more. Then came there a voice unto it, saying, now, don't forget, the Pope throne over there is considered the Antichrist throne. Matter of fact, his very title, Philly died vicarious. Philly died vicarious is 666 in Roman numerals. His so-called Son of God, God on earth, vicar down here is the Antichrist seat. Was that all the pedopopes in hellfire? People that have been there done seen him. And only Martin Luther made it in, doing it. This coming from that Roman Catholicism. It's the Antichrist seat. And there came a voice unto there saying, Hear thou now the born rule over the earth so long, that I say unto thee, before thou beginnest to appear no more, there shall none after thee attain unto thy time, neither unto thy half thereof. Then arose the third, and reigned, and the other before, and appeared no more also. So went it all, the residue, one after another, as that every one reigned, and then appeared no more. Then I beheld, and lo, in the process of time the feathers that followed stood up upon the right side, that they might rule also. And some of them ruled, but within a while they appeared no more. For some of them were set up, but ruled not. After this I looked, and behold, the 12 feathers appeared no more, nor the 2 little feathers. And there was no more upon the eagle's body, but 3 heads, that rested, and 6 little wings. Then I saw also that the 2 feathers divided themselves from the 6 and remained under the head that was up on the right side, for the 4 continued in their place. And I beheld, and lo, the feathers that were under the wings, though to set themselves up and to have the rule. And I beheld, and lo, there was one set up, but surely it appeared no more. And the second was sooner away than the first. And I beheld, and lo, the 2 that remained, though also in them sails to reign. And when they so thought, beheld, there awakened one of the heads that were at rest, namely it that was in the midst, for that was greater than the 2 other heads. And then I saw that the 2 other heads were joined with it. And behold, the head was turned with them that were with it, and did eat up the 2 feathers under the wing that would have reigned.
Now you think in history, go back, you got to go back to conquerors, to rulers. That was part of this eagle body that wanted to rule the whole world. And if you come to modern times, there's some that stand out. You had Napoleon that wanted to rule the whole world as a modern conqueror. They killed him. That head killed him. You had Muhammad that wanted to rule the whole world. He got as far as the steps of the pyramids, mountains over in Spain. He was pushed back. And no more. And you had Hitler. He definitely wanted to rule the whole world. Believed it was his divine destiny. He was pushed back and was no more. So you've had these modern versions. So we read about this eagle, but they all was part of the body of the eagle, make no mistake. They was all part of Rome. But it wasn't time yet. God's in control, relax. But it ain't that they didn't try. And I beheld, the head was turned with them. And they all little antichrist, every single one of them. And I beheld, and the head was turned with them, were with it, and did come up the 2 feathers under the wing that would have reigned. But the head put the whole earth in fear, and bare rule in it over all those that dwelt upon the earth, with much oppression. And it had the governance of the whole world, more than all the wings that had been. Something to think about. There's an order, a head. A head means a head, something that's over, that's in charge of this whole earth. An evil order called the Jesuit order that's put down any of the dreams and aspirations that thought they was going to take over this world. They've maintained the power behind the scenes. They're the marionettes pulling the strings on the whole world. This Jesuit order that nobody's, like you just read earlier, people even afraid to talk about or criticize or mention. But they're the kingmakers.
And after this I beheld, the head that was in the midst suddenly appeared no more, like as the wings. But there remained the 2 heads, which also in like sort ruled upon the earth, and over those that dwelt therein. And I beheld, and lo, the head upon the right side devoured it, and was up and devoured it that was up on the left side. Then I heard a voice which said unto me, Look before thee, and consider the thing that thou seest. And I beheld, and lo, it was as a roaring lion chased out of the wood. And I saw that being sent out a man's voice unto the eagle, and said, Hear thou.
A lion represents Christ. The kingdom of Christ, like I said, age is coming. And Christ is going to destroy that eagle. So we're going to read about him. He's going to take down this beast system. The age of the beast is over. Christ's age world, again, is coming with force.
Then I heard a voice which said unto me, Look before thee, and consider the thing that thou seest. And I beheld, and lo, as it were, a roaring lion chased out of the wood. And I saw he sent out a man's voice unto the eagle, and said, Hear thou, I will take, or hear thou, listen to me, I will talk with thee, I'm going to talk with you. And the highest shall say unto you, the Most High God, Art not thou it that remaineth of the four beasts, whom I made to reign in my world?
God's in control of these beasts of the kingdom. That's what he told Nebuchadnezzar. He told Nebuchadnezzar, you're the head of the beast. You're the gold kingdom, the symbol of gold. And it broke down from there, gold, the silver, the brass, on down to the iron kingdom, which was Rome. Almost an iron eagle, with that two double-head eagle. Always looking at God's symbols. Symbols are more important than you can best believe the occult speaks in symbols. Satan is just a copycat of God. Biblical numerology, and when you study biblical symbols, Satan's got his